Marvelous hello, friends and loved ones. You know something? I have been playing a lot of big games this year. Digital Devil Saga, Metabots, Legend of Mana, Saints Row 2, Pokemon Sweet Tooth. I think I want to play something just a little bit smaller. Not even a mini game, but a micro game. There are definitely certain names that come to mind when we think of major Nintendo series. Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. And while I wouldn't necessarily say that WarioWare is a particularly niche series, I also don't think it's one that necessarily comes to most people if you ask them to name 5 or even 10 Nintendo series off the top of their head. And yet, since its introduction in 2003 with WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games, the WarioWare series has had installments on, I think, every Nintendo console producing games since then, which is a pretty impressive pedigree. You've got Game Boy Advance games, an enhanced port of the first title for the GameCube, entries on the DS, a DSiWare one that I've never actually played, a really good 3DS entry, Game & Wario on the Wii U, which I still count as a WarioWare game, even if it doesn't technically have it in the title, and heck, just a couple months ago, we got a brand new one on the Nintendo Switch with WarioWare Get It Together. The series has even gotten representation in Smash Bros, with not one, but 2 stages dedicated to it, and Wario primarily using his WarioWare design by default. It might not be the biggest series, but since its debut, it's always just kinda been there. And if you noticed I forgot to mention one, hold your horses, I'm building to that. WarioWare is personally one of my favorite Nintendo franchises, because it's just good, simple, fast-paced fun. The general premise of almost every single game in the series starts out with Wario sitting around watching TV and eating garbage food. Hashtag relatable. When he sees something on TV implying that video games are making a lot of money, well, Wario likes money, so he opts to make some funny little video games in order to make a quick buck. However, making video games is hard, so he calls in his friends. I have no idea how he met most of these people, but they're all on board to help out. Then you pretty much just play through every character's set of games that only last from about 4 to 8 seconds, before a slightly bigger and longer boss battle. You've got 4 lives to make it to the end, or you have to start over, and once you clear a character's stage, then it just becomes seeing how far you can get on just those 4 lives. This is the general premise throughout nearly every WarioWare game. What makes them all different, though, is seeing how each title incorporates the hardware into the gameplay. Like WarioWare Touched on the DS primarily focuses on games that utilize the touchscreen, or Get It Together focusing on the Joy-Con's abilities to do co-op gameplay, since in this game you can actually take control of the characters themselves, even if some games are definitely easier with certain characters. And even Game & Wario was well ahead of its time by accurately predicting the future of the Wii U. But as much as I love WarioWare and could sit here talking about the entire series all day long, there is one specific game I want to focus on today. The game that I, as well as many others, consider to be the best of the best. And that game is WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Nintendo Wii.
It's a Wii! Wario! Ha ha ha!
I am genuinely convinced that is the entire reason Nintendo decided to call the console that. The concept behind Smooth Moves is basically the same as I already explained with the other titles. You choose a character's stage, watch their cutscene, play through their games, fight their boss battle, watch another cutscene, and unlock new stages to rinse and repeat. The main draw of WarioWare Smooth Moves is its use of the Wiimote, or Form Baton as the game itself calls it. Wario discovers this ancient artifact after a weird little creature steals his cake. I'm sorry, I thought I was playing WarioWare, not Kirby. Wait a minute, have I never talked about Kirby on this? Most of the other character storylines have little to do with the Form Baton itself, and just keep up the crazy randomness the series has become known for. Like Mona's story about her being a cheerleader and the star football player trying to keep his head in the game because he's incapacitated by love. Don't feel bad, dude. I get distracted around cute redheads, too. Or Jimmy T befriending a bunch of alley cats and having an awesome dance party with them. Or the cab-driving besties Dribble and Spitz enjoying a nice relaxing drive to one of the best music tracks in this entire game, only to discover the polite young woman they dropped off was actually an alien. Or Jimmy P befriending a bunch of alley dogs and having an awesome dance party with them. Wait. The cutscenes are all cute and fun, and it's always a treat to see how the live system gets incorporated into each character's stage, whether it's Wario's classic cloves of garlic or Ashley's candles getting burnt out. But you don't go to a buffet for the chocolate pudding in the salad bar, and you don't play a WarioWare game for the plot, you just kind of enjoy it while it's there. Let's take a real look at some of these microgames and see what they actually have to offer. With Smooth Moves being a Wii title, there's obviously an emphasis on motion controls. I know the thought of that usually elicits a few groans or worried glances from people, but honestly, I think this game has some of the best motion controls ever implemented into a video game. Sure, I ran into a few instances where I failed a game because my Wiimote wasn't playing nice with the sensor bar, but that was more the fault of my personal setup than the game itself. Every single microgame in WarioWare Smooth Moves is played by holding the Wiimote in a specific stance. You're given a heads up which form you're going to need before the game begins, and there's even a super handy and honestly hilarious introduction to each of the different forms read by a soothing narrator.
The waiter. Place the form baton in your palm, tip forward and buttons facing up. See yourself serving a group of socialites. Such grace, they cry. Such style. Such hors d'oeuvres.
The further you get into the game, the more new forms get introduced, and it's hard to describe the sensation of rapidly switching to the correct stance, completely unsure what the next game is actually going to be, as anything other than just pure fun. I seriously love it. You can generally get some idea of what you're going to have to do based on the form. Like with the elephant, you can assume you're gonna have to do something that involves moving your head. Or with the remote control, you're probably gonna need to be pointing the Wiimote at the screen. And that is why they tell you to wear the strap. The games themselves are just a laugh and a half, and they have so many different aesthetic styles and weird steps in logic, whether you succeed or fail to complete them. Even if it doesn't always make sense why we're playing the games in the context of the story, I'm genuinely a big fan of the idea that all these games were actually made by Wario and his friends. WarioWare is a game company, and these are their products. Okay, who made that one? Kat? Anna? I know it was one of you. Now we're not stopping for ice cream. There's one game with a Wario Godzilla as a fun reminder to me of when November videos used to be Kaiju Month on this channel. There's this one where you scan a barcode with this absolutely terrifying guy just hanging out in the background. And there's even one where you crack open a nice cold bottle of Wario brand beer. I will neither confirm nor deny that I have absolutely played this game completely wasted. Some of the most popular games in the entire franchise have always been 9 volts games, because they're all centered around Nintendo stuff specifically. And while these are a lot of fun, I regret to inform all of you that Nintendo has just served 9 volt with a cease and desist letter, so no more of his games will be appearing in this video. After you beat the main story, the character Orbulon introduces some new games that feature the Nunchuck, or Balance Stone as the game calls it, and they're fine. I really don't find them or their forms quite as engaging as what you get with a singular Wiimote, but they're all still playable enough. And then of course I want to mention the boss battles. These are less about performing a task in a matter of seconds, and more about using the different forms to do something bigger and better. Like in Ashley's stage, where you can only pick up the Wiimote after constructing the world's worst burger. Or in Dribble and Spitz's stage, where you take control of yourself and have to shoot down this giant nose with a banana gun. These boss battles are just a lot of fun, and definitely one of my favorite parts. Overall, I love WarioWare Smooth Moves. It's a lot of fun for a playthrough by yourself, but it's a real blast with friends, where you can hand the Wiimote off to one another between games. Other entries in the series definitely have their charm. I've absolutely put my fair share of time into Get It Together. In fact, that game is probably why I decided to talk about a WarioWare game now. But I'll always fondly remember just how fantastically fun Smooth Moves really is, and why it still holds up as one of my top 3 Wii games of all time. And there's not really much left for me to say, but I think we've got time for one final micro game. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, be sure to click like, but if you really liked it, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Extra special thanks to all my friends and loved ones over on Patreon, which you can pledge to today to see your own name in these ending credits. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care.